Yo, shout out to everyone who thought that Aventurine was gonna be mid. May they rest in peace. While yes, it is true if you already had good sustainability or you were running zero sustain, you don't necessarily need to pull for Aventurine. To say that he's mid, or even some people out there that thought he was garbage, is kind of unfair. Aventurine is dealing such substantial damage on his own that folks out there are actually running Hypercarry Aventurine with literally 0 DPS characters on the entire squad. Yeah, that's not the best Hypercarry team you could possibly run, but they're doing it to prove a point that he's actually viable even by himself as the sole source of damage on a team. So obviously, when running Aventurine as a secondary or even third damage source on a team, of course you're going to see some noteworthy improvement upon what you were likely doing before, unless maybe you were running HuoHuo, for example. Let's say, for example, you were running Gepard on a team. Aventurine can do everything Gepard could do, but better because he also provides his own damage source of his own. However, if you were running somebody that needed to be able to freeze, then of course Gepard is going to be helpful on those teams. There are still going to be places where Gepard is a viable option. Even on an Acheron team where you want to get those debuffs off, well, Aventurine gets debuffs off even better because he has a debuff of his own and he could run any light cone that Gepard could have ran on that team comp. And that isn't a diss to Gepard, by the way. Gepard can definitely still be a solo sustain on a team even to this day. I think people just want to move on because he's a 1.0 character, but to be honest with you, this dude still clears Memory of Chaos 12 regularly, dude. However, Aventurine did technically power creep Gepard in most team compositions. Yeah, I think Gepard is still great, it's not a diss to Gepard, but Aventurine is definitely a noteworthy improvement upon what we were able to get out of Gepard. Yes, this does also mean that Aventurine works on basically any team composition. Maybe he's not as great on a DOT team as, let's say, HuoHuo or something like that, but he's definitely an improvement upon any team that you could potentially have been using Gepard on, for example, because of that extra damage he's able to provide. And yeah, he does synergize really well with follow-up teams, any follow-up character as a main hypercarry that you could use, or a full follow-up team, or Acheron teams, etc., etc. That's where Aventurine's going to excel, but that doesn't mean you couldn't run him on quite literally any other team except for maybe those DOT teams. And no, I'm not out here saying that Aventurine is some, oh my god, must pull, you guys are gonna be mid, you guys are gonna be trash, you guys are gonna be nobody in this game unless you have Aventurine. No, do not get it twisted, bruh. Okay, bruh, listen, bruh, don't get it twisted, bruh. I'm just out here saying, bruh, that Aventurine is like way better than a lot of folks thought he was gonna be. In fact, folks that thought he was gonna be pretty dang good, he's doing even better than a lot of those folks thought he was gonna do. This dude's actually viable as a hypercarry on the right team composition. That's crazy. And one of the best and most fun things about Aventurine is that there's a lot of versatility to this dude. There's a lot of different ways you can build him. There's a ton of different relic sets that work really well with him. For example, you could run him as kind of like a sub DPS with like Broken Keel or something like that, which improves his own personal damage, but it also significantly improves the damage of everyone else on your team, especially your main DPS. You could run him with Solsato, which gives him a super duper power spike in his overall damage because Solsato buffs the two main damage sources that he has, his ultimate and his follow-up damage. It's actually super fun to build this dude. There's a lot of versatility to it, and this means that all of those like relic pieces that were high defense and super duper trash because you thought that they were defense pieces with high crit damage on them, boy, I bet you wish you didn't trash all those old defense pieces that rolled into crit now, huh? Yeah. And because he really mostly wants the defense and the crit damage stats, you can basically run whatever gear you want on him. He's yet another character that is very viable with rainbow gear. Any set from anywhere that has good defense and crit damage stats, you could just run that instead. You don't have to go for the 4-piece bonus every single time, or even the 2-piece bonus from the 4-piece sets. Yeah, I do think you should keep the planar sets together as the 2-piece bonus. Solsato, for example, Broken Keel, even the Bellabog set, those bonuses are really good. Even Bellabog gives him 15% defense. That's not just survivability, that's also damage. Keep those together, but don't worry too much about the 4-piece bonus or the 2-piece bonus from the main sets. Yeah, sure, Pioneer Divers is like his best set probably, but just think about it. You're probably running him with Aventurine or Acheron or something like that, and you probably are going to be using Pioneer Divers, your best relics from those sets, on those characters instead. So it gives you the wiggle room to be able to run 2-piece follow-up, 2-piece divers, or 2-piece divers and something else, or even 2-piece follow-up and something else. It gives you a lot of wiggle room. This makes the character so good for basically any person's account. I can't say enough good things about the dude. Again, you don't need this guy if you already have good sustainability, but to say that he's mid or to say that he's trash or underwhelming is just simply not true. And to be fair, not everyone thought this dude was going to be mid. Not everyone thought this dude was going to be underwhelming on his release, but a significant amount of people were. A noteworthy amount of folks thought this dude was not going to be viable on his release, that he was just going to be Gepard, you know what I mean, 1.5 or something like that, rather than a Gepard 2.0. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to name names, obviously. That shit's cringe, okay? We're not out here to try to start more, PvP between content creators and stuff like that, okay? And again, to be fair, how many, people are supposed to immediately see a sustainability DPS and think right off the rip, oh, that's going to be good? That would be kind of silly. Like, you should immediately be skeptical of something like that. And only after theory crafting it for a significant amount of time, looking at calculators, seeing actual in real life gameplay, testing him in real time, that's the moment that you really should put the value into the guy. But you know what I mean? A lot of people did kind of like already put their labels out there and saying that he wasn't going to be that good. But it doesn't change the fact that a lot of those things were said, and it caused some players to think that he wasn't going to be worth the investment or time. But let's be real here. For a lot of players, especially for new players that still need a really good sustainability, solo sustainable character, this dude's gonna be like perfect for those players, right? Because we had HuoHuo's release already. Yeah, Xuan's gonna be getting a rerun soon, so yeah, you could just pull that if that's what you really want. She is still, in my opinion, gonna be the most reliable sustainability character, but for like actual overall team impact and damage, I think that HuoHuo and Aventurine are the top sustainability characters right now. Yeah, sure, Xuan has that 12% crit rate, which is really, really helpful to a lot of players, especially players that need just that little bit of crit rate boost. But let's be honest here. If you already have enough crit rate and crit damage through your own stats on your main DPS characters, Aventurine and HuoHuo are the top sustainability characters in the game right now. And I'll reiterate this one more time just so people don't get too upset. They already are going to get upset. But yeah, Aventurine does kind of eclipse Xuan in top level play. It's just a fact. Xuan for like the new player or like the average player is going to be more comfortable. But once your account gets powerful enough, once you reach really, really deep endgame, level 70 type of gameplay, you're trying to reach the next steps in your power level or your overall damage on a team, Aventurine is going to be better for most players in that situation than a Xuan would be. Like, once you, get past just being sort of casual, I guess you could say, Aventurine's going to be better than Xuan, in my opinion. He just provides more. It's just a fact. And Aventurine also fills a specific niche. He works really well with follow-up synergy, or characters that really want debuffs, such as Acheron. So he works well with, like, Acheron, Ratio, Topaz, Clara. The follow-up synergy also is only just getting off the ground. We had Topaz a little while back, we had free Ratio not all that long ago, and we're going to be getting even more. The meta is sort of shifting in the next couple of months or so into follow-up meta and break effect meta, and Aventurine's going to be beautiful for those type of team compositions, while also, at the same time, being very good for just about any team as a general sustainability shielder, just like Gepard was for so long. Only he provides damage where Gepard didn't provide that before. He also has a very, very fun playstyle and adds something to one of the most fun playstyles in the game, which are follow-up teams. And there's a lot of versatility to these things too, a lot of different team comps you can run. And yeah, you could also run him as a hypercarry, the sole, the only DPS source on the entire team. And ironically, he provides you a sustain while doing that. Even though it wasn't necessarily intended, he provides those shields regardless of how you look at it. And yeah, of course, Hypercarry Aventurine as the sole damage source on your team, that's not the best hypercarry team out there. But it is technically viable, and the point has been proven. I've seen this a lot of different times. A lot of people in my Discord have shown me that it's truly possible. Because I'm running more of a, sub DPS version of him right now. But to see some of my buddies running a Hypercarry Aventurine is just cool. It's the first time we've ever seen a sustain as a main DPS source and it actually be viable. Again, that's not the best choice in the world. You should only do that if you want to. It's just kind of something fun you could do. But that's something that adds something interesting to this game. If you've been playing since, day one, it's cool to try these off-meta, goofy, fun little things. And if you don't want to run that off-meta, goofy little thing, just run them as a sub-DPS, or as your sole sustainability character and only lean into the sustain. Those are all viable options. That's why he's so cool. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily care about this, but the dude is cool. He has some of the coolest animations in the game. He adds something really interesting to the story. He's a gambler just like you and me. Homeboy gambled with his own life in the main story. That is so cool. And it leaves the door open to the future of what he might bring to the story way down the line once he, completes his side quest thing, whatever the heck, spiritual journey, whatever the heck that is going on. I'm not going to try to spoil anything for you guys, but we might be seeing some cool stuff from Aventurine in the future as well. And if you're interested in an Aventurine calculator, I will be providing a link down in the pinned comment and the description for the calculator itself, as well as a video for how to use it, and I'll also provide a full, in-depth Aventurine build guide as well. Anyways, if you want to check that stuff out, again, pinned comment, description below, and we'll be making more fun, interesting Aventurine content as the days go on. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, enjoy your evening, and let me know if you're going to be pulling Aventurine. Peace.